Peace. I'm Yolanda Marie, or Yani for short, for House of Fluid Reflections, Artist Touch Talks. We are back with you for another episode, and I am so excited to bring you our wonderful guest for today. I have been watching her and following her posts and shares for so many months leading up to now. I'm so excited to have her here with you all today. She is such a wonderful human being, my love. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Peace, family. My name is Sharee. I'm the owner of Honey Dove Herbals LLC. And to be honest, I'm just really happy to be here. Gratitude to the host. So what's up for today?
What's up for today? Well, our first question, arguably probably my favorite question, is who are you?
Who am I? Well, as we know, my name is Mia.
Yes.
I am clumsy. I'm clumsy. I'm a creative. I like to think that I am an artist of all sorts. Like I paint, I sketch, I sing a little bit. Ooh. Only in the shower though.
We don't have to bring her out the shower. Bring her out the shower.
I sing a little bit. You can call me a Jackie of all trades because I sew and crochet and things like that. So I'm definitely very artistic. I consider myself a free spirit, very free flowy. I flow like water. That's what I usually like to say. Yes. That I flow like water, ever changing and ever growing and ever expanding. So that's
Yes. And I'm so here with you on the flowing. If you know, you know. If you know me, that's what I'm always saying. I'm just going with the flow. I flow like water. My Aquarian energy be running. That's what we do. So, Miss Jackie of all trades. Yes. I have so many questions. I'm like, she said crochet, she sings, she sketches, she paint, and she's an herbalist.
And I'm an herbalist.
So let's rewind a little bit.
Yep.
Where did the journey begin for you? Where did the arts journey begin for you?
You said the art journey?
Yeah, so when did the arts find you? Because your herbalism is included in that, like all of it is art. So when did arts first touch you?
Ooh, that is a really good question. I like to think that my first experience with art came from music. I think that's a lot of people's first experience with art, maybe. Yeah. At least for mine, it was always the oldies waking up in the morning, and it went from dancing while I'm mopping and cleaning to me enjoying musical movies. So like The Five Heartbeats, The Temptations. Yes. What's Love Got to Do with it? And it kind of stemmed from there, going to museums, art museums, watching people paint, like physically watch them paint, and then me studying a little bit while I was in high school, to me studying even more in college. I actually went to school for psychology and Africana studies. Nothing to do with art, but I learned about the art completely across the diaspora, and that was beautiful. Yeah. So I want to say my love for the arts started when I was a kid, but peaked when I was in college.
Okay. That's beautiful. And did you have a favorite? Was there a particular art or experience or piece that really grabbed you during your experience or during your journey of discovering art of the diaspora?
Oh, gosh. I actually don't think I have a favorite one, but I do have a favorite time.
Okay.
Now, I'd say the Renaissance, the Harlem Renaissance was my favorite time. Okay. My favorite point in time when it came to art. I feel like a lot of black and brown and copper colored people brought so much expression out during the Harlem Renaissance. You had art, you had music. Jazz is one of my favorite, one of my favorite genres of music.
Damn.
So I definitely say the Harlem Renaissance was my favorite. I don't have a favorite composer though.
Okay.
Oh yes, and writers. Oh gosh, so many beautiful writers because I love poetry as well. So many beautiful writers came out of the Harlem Renaissance or peaked during the Harlem Renaissance. So yeah. I think that's my favorite time period of art.
I love that. So, if not art, well, the music is art. Do you have a favorite? I hear you say jazz. Do you have a favorite artist that you like, modern or Renaissance?
So currently, I'm starting to get on a. There's an artist I'm listening to right now. Her name is. Forgive me if you see this. Chantel Shay.
Okay.
I think her name is. I believe that's her name. I could definitely be wrong or butchering. I'm sorry.
We'll put it in after.
We'll put it in somewhere. But her music is so beautiful to me right now. Her voice is beautiful. Her jazz elements in the background are beautiful. She has live instruments, and I think that's my favorite part when it comes to jazz, the live instrumental portion of it. A lot of people aren't doing it anymore, and I miss it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of like going to a jazz concert and or a concert in general, and just being able to feel the music. So when I think of live instruments playing on music, it resonates different.
Absolutely. I love that. And I have my own special connect point there because my dad was a jazz musician. He played the saxophone and the flute. So, yes, I can completely resonate with your draw to the jazz music because there is truly something about live instrumentation and just the resonance that you feel in your body. Like, it reverberates inside of you, so you actually do feel, and it is so moving. So yes, I'm definitely interested in finding out about Chantel.
I will tell you, like, if Chantel is not your name, I'm sorry again, but I actually just started creating like a soft jazz playlist because I have a playlist that is really great for upbeat jazz, but like soft chill jazz. I'm creating that playlist currently. Now, of course, you know you have the Nat King Cole and Miles Davis.
Yeah,
like there are some beautiful artists and composers, but at the same time, you know, feeling the modern blend as well in the playlist is going to be great for me.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm excited to hear that. I'm excited for this playlist. Definitely.
I will send it right to you.
Yes, all the listeners.
We are 4 songs deep.
Yes, 4 songs deep, and we are here for it, and supporting the whole journey.
I play even at 4 songs deep.
Yes, that's what we're here for. We're here for the journey. It is not about the finish. We are here for where you are today. So speaking on where you are today, tell us a bit about Honey Dove Herbals. How was that birthed? What brought you to it? What was that journey like?
So I actually started my Honey Dove Herbals journey while I was in California. So I had lived in California for a year and a half. Okay. When I first got out there, everything was such a culture shock. And I started noticing that a lot of the people that I was working with, because I was working at a metaphysical shop at the time, a lot of people coming into the shop, they were asking about certain herbs, or like we had small little things, like the smallest section of herbs. Yeah. And I made it my purpose for the day to just learn every single herb that we had in the shop, the properties, the properties in general, the medicinal properties, the spiritual properties, all of them. And I want to say that kind of pushed the narrative because I was already into homeopathics and natural healing already. Like I started out not wanting to take medication at all. It went from headache medication to any medication that was ever given. I was like, there has to be a better way. Has to be a better way. I don't want to take this chemical that I have no idea about. Like I don't want to take anything. Like I actually I started taking birth control I think at 14. And then I stopped taking birth control at 15 because I sat in the bathroom and was reading all of the instructions, like not the instructions, but like
the ingredients.
Yes, the ingredients as well as the warning label. And when it told me infertility and stroke and like blood clots were side effects or possible side effects of it, I was like, I don't think this should be going into my body, especially so young. Like, I'm still developing, my reproductive system is still trying to get its footing. So, like it started, my original health, like natural health journey started there at 15, but it didn't fully hit its peak until I moved out to California around 20. Okay. Yeah.
And who knows if that's even your peak?
If that's right, if that's even my peak, because I'm still climbing.
Yes, still climbing. I love that. So after being in California and doing your study and learning all of those, like, yes, as she said, I learned its properties, its medicinal properties, its spiritual properties, all of that. So after that experience, what was the next step for you? Like, what sent you to, now I'm sharing this information and creating these, I don't even want to say products because they're not products, but
sharing
these shares,
these gifts,
so sharing these gifts, these offerings, if you will. What led you to the offering process with the teas, with the lip oils, with the smoke blends, all of that? How did that come into fruition for you?
Oh, so my first product, or my first offering, as we're going to state.
Yes.
My first offering was actually teas and herbal tea baths. So I would make spiritual baths.
Okay.
What got me to this point now was me trying to figure things out for myself.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted an herbal tea, but I was so tired of buying the store-bought teas with like the plastic bags and everything. I started reading up on those. Didn't really like them. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just do it myself. Like, why not?
Yeah.
So I found an apothecary that was selling herbs. I had already studied them at this point. Like, I'm self-taught and like half and half, by the way, like self-taught. I've also gone through certificate programs too. But I found the apothecary and went to get the herbs, like check them out, came back home and put them together. I noticed they were working for me. So I started giving them to my friends as well. Everybody who I had, the family that I had gathered there, if they were feeling some type of way, or if they were feeling down or sick, or feeling their allergies flaring up, I would give them the tea. And that's actually my breath of life, by the way. Yes, okay. I would give them my tea. That's the first one that I ever created. And everybody was just like, I feel so much better. Like, my head cold is gone. My chest is clear. And I was like, okay, cool, glad. Like, I was perfectly fine with that. Yeah. Like, I never thought about breaking anything into a business. It was more so, how can I help my friends, and how can I help myself, and how can I help my family? Yeah. Compared to, how can I help everybody? Like, at first, like I started so small, and I actually started selling in the shop a little bit. Like, I was selling my spiritual baths in the shop, and I was trying to incorporate my teas in there. And the customers, they would come in and they were just like, you need to start selling all of these, like asking me questions like, oh, well, what are you taking? What are you drinking? Like, how do you heal with this? Because it was a crystal shop, a metaphysical shop. So people would come in and ask questions about healing stones, and then I could incorporate healing herbs with the stones as well. And then people started asking me, well, what do you take? Like, how do you take them? And my favorite customers, I would bring like little samples in for them. And it went from that to, you should sell these. So I was like, okay, I can sell them locally. Yeah. Sell them locally, that's fine. And it went from locally to my mom from Phoenix wants it. Do you have a website? And I'm just like, I could create a website, sure. But I wanted to make sure that my product was comfortable, or like my offering was comfortable to everybody, because I wanted to heal everybody at that point. Like it was working so well. I wanted everybody to experience it, but I didn't really want to charge people. But in the consumer day and age that we're in, capitalism. I kind of
survive,
I kind of have to survive, live, and thrive because that one tea has brought me to a space where I now have 4 or 5 teas, lip oils, spiritual baths.
My spiritual baths
was the first. Do you see these?
Can you go say hello? Yes.
My first, one of the first things I also started off with was my spiritual baths, and my favorite one was my under the sea. And I would actually use the butterfly PT because it had beautiful spiritual properties, and it would turn the water. It turned the water such a beautiful hue of blue, and I started selling those. I was like, get your intuition right, like feel your spirit cleansing. It's very soft. It's very sensual as well. Brings on your sexuality, your body intellect. Get it moving.
We love that.
And like I was also selling those as well. So I started out with I think 3 products. 3 products originally, right? And people started asking for things. So I was like, okay, I can work on that. And then I started creating infusions from a class that I was taking. And people wanted the infusions. So the more people asked, the more it kind of like it grew. Yeah. So I hope that wasn't too long.
No. That's what we're here for. We're here for the
like,
story, the journey. That is beautiful. And I love how you allowed the organic process to take place and essentially did supply and demand in a way. Like as people came, you continued to offer. And I think that's beautiful that you got to grow with your community and with your collective, and it got to be a communal experience as you, the healer, and coming to the people and freely and willingly giving to the people and creating that symbiotic relationship and getting feedback in that manner and allowing your hands to be that for you. So I love that, and I'm so happy for you, and to see your shop and the vastness of it to the point that it is now, like selling all these different products, all these different offerings, and even down to the sea moss. Like, talk to me about the sea moss. Like, I stumbled on it, like, I think 3 or 4 years ago, but truly did not understand the magnitude of its properties and its benefits. How did you come into contact with this wonderful food?
So I was actually studying and watching videos and stuff online, and I ran past a Dr. Sadie video, and he had said something about it, and I was like, okay, I can fast. Like I was working on fasting already. Like I was raised Muslim, so Ramadan was definitely a thing for us. Okay. So I was used to fasting, but it was a different type of fast that I was working on. Yeah. Incorporating into my life. So I found his videos, and I was like, okay. Yeah. That was my first official introduction, and I was like, okay, I want to try that. Like let's see what happens, where it goes. And I actually had ordered sea moss, like a little, I think 2 ounce, 2 ounce of dried sea moss, and I didn't use it for like a year. Yeah. Yes, I got it, and I was like, okay, I'll eventually get around to it. And I just never got around to it until I got around to it. And I made the gel, looked online to see how to make the gel. I made the gel, and from making the gel, I put it in my smoothies because I wasn't going to take it. Wasn't going to take it in my mouth. I smelled it. I was like, I don't know about this one. Let's start small. So I put it into my smoothies, blended it up, and the smoothie was phenomenal. Yes. Smoothie was phenomenal. After that, I felt different. I felt like my body was being cleansed. Like I no longer had mucus in my nasal cavity, in my chest cavity. It's a completely different thing when you go from always having mucus there to having nothing there, and you immediately feel it. So that was my first introduction to sea moss, and that's when I started talking about it to my friends. And now I sell it. Yes.
Yes.
But sea moss is actually for the people who don't know.
Yeah.
Sea moss is a beautiful superfood. There are 102 minerals that make up the body that are highly vital. They're vital for our system, for our bodies to function properly daily. And sea moss by itself makes up 92, I believe, 92 minerals of the 102. Now you can add certain things like bladderwrack and burdock and certain herbs to increase it to all 102. But yeah, like it's definitely an essential superfood.
Absolutely. Beautiful. I love that. And I've been witnessing you now doing infusions with the sea moss as well. What has that experience been like for you? Because I'm loving seeing all the colors.
I love seeing all the colors too, and I think that's how I can incorporate my art into my herbalism as well. Yeah. Like, because I feel like my art itself with my herbs, I like touching them, playing with them, maneuvering them. I actually dance with them sometimes.
Yes.
Dance with them while making them. Make it a whole ritual.
Yeah.
You know, give my love and my energy into my offering so people can feel that as well. Because if the herbs don't feel love, they won't get love. But yeah, so I started incorporating fruits and different herbal teas to my sea moss and playing with colors and moving the sea moss around to see if I can get like a swirly effect. Truly showing my artistic expression through the infusions themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
I love that. It's been such a beautiful journey to watch into it. Yes, and I was just like,
it tastes really yummy. Makes it a lot easier to eat. Yes. Makes it a lot easier to eat when it's infused with fruits.
Yes, because I have a confession. You mentioned, not taking it by itself. So one time I was, running out the house real late, had to go to New York. Didn't have time to make a smoothie. Took a tablespoon, almost threw. I had to choke it down. My taste buds were not with it. I was like, I was like, I'm not gangsta enough for this yet. I haven't been vetted enough yet. I literally was working with my breath for like 30 minutes after because of how traumatic it was. Like
our bodies aren't used to it. Like our mouths aren't used to it. So when we first take it, it's just like, okay, cool. We try to like push it back up.
And that's exactly what happened. And my mom was sitting there looking at me like, are you okay?
Like even sometimes now, like I'll take it in my mouth and I'm just like, where's my water?
Like, get it down. Right. Where's the cranberry juice?
Something, anything. So that was my first experience. What was your first experience taking it by teaspoon? Smoothies and acai bowls are my biased way of taking my sea moss. Now, granted, since I started infusing it with fruit, I can actually just take it by mouth now because it's not just a creamy applesauce texture anymore. It's now, it's a creamy, tasty, like applesauce texture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. So speaking on your art and infusing it into the sea moss, are there any forms of your art that you still participate in or utilize even as you're on this journey, like as a form of transmutation or just, for fun? Are there any arts you still dabble in even as you're running your herbal business?
Yes. I still dabble in my painting and my sketching. Like I noticed that painting is a very good escape for me. So if I'm feeling very emotional or very deep, like my painting will reflect that.
Yeah.
I didn't bring any with me, but all right. But I do have some beautiful paintings where one reflects like me coming into or transmuting certain dark energy and bringing it to light. So it's a beautiful open body of water. Of course, like water association. Open body of water, beautiful mountaintops with some trees, and the sun rising. Whereas when I was in a really dark time, really deep, like very deeply emotional, I painted the sun setting in a really deep, harshly flowing ocean base. And so I like to think that I like to incorporate my artistic ways, my painting into still my evolution. Into my evolution, into my growth, because it's guided me. It's come with me so far. You might as well come with me all the way.
Yes.
Now, I also incorporate my poetry. Mm-hmm. I write poetry as well. Again, hard to write.
Yeah. Give it up.
Love Jones.
Yes. Must be Oshun.
Yes. Let's be Oshun, baby. Yeah. I do incorporate my poetry as well into my healing journey, and as well as my yoga practice. So, yeah, those are the two art forms that I still bring with me. I'm always open to new art forms. Yeah. I honestly feel like anything can be art. Like body movement is actually what I was studying in college as well. Like body movement, transmuting energy that way. So that is still an art that I bring into my healing process too.
Beautiful. So speaking on that, you just mentioned yoga. Talk to us about that. What has that journey been like for you? When did you discover or come to it, or when was it brought to you? And how has that been a part of your evolution thus far?
These are some good questions. I try. I see. She's really good at what she does.
Thank you.
So, let me think back.
Take your time.
The start of my spiritual journey started in 2015, I believe. Started my spiritual journey started in 2015. And that actually started because I was pulling myself out of a very deep depression. Now, I had pulled myself out, but I was still feeling sluggish. I lacked luster. I still didn't really want to do anything, though I was still up and around capable of doing everything that needed to be done. And I was back on track with things that I liked doing, but it just didn't seem to still work. It just didn't work completely for me. Yeah. So, I started doing a lot of research of how I can get myself out of this rut, out of this funk. Yeah. And it started with decreasing my meat intake. Yeah, so I started decreasing my meat intake. Now, granted, I didn't eat red meat as often. Actually, I didn't really eat red meat at all anymore. But I was still eating chicken and fish. So, and that was a part of my everyday diet. Like, it was daily for me. So I read it and I was like, you know what? Yes, Spirit, thank you. Because I was trying to figure, everything else was like, oh, do this, or it's okay. Yeah. And I'm like, I need answers. Yes. Right. So I started decreasing my meat intake. And once I decreased my meat intake, I started feeling a lot better. And the more I felt better, the more I decreased my meat intake. And the more I felt more in tune with myself. Like, I heard nature different. When I would read, I listened to the words different, like they hit differently. So I actually started meditating before yoga. Wow, yeah, usually it's the other way around. But I started meditating before I found yoga. And the more I meditated, the more I was like, okay, well, how do I meditate with my body? And yoga became the expression of meditation with my body. Meditation and movement. That's why I studied movement as well. Yeah. Because I was like, well, if it's making me feel good, it's working for me, how can I bring this practice or make it become a practice in my life? So, it started there. And then I just took it a step further and started taking classes. Because before, YouTube was free. Right. I was using YouTube. Yes. And I was so tired of finding white people videos. Yeah, we are on so many white people videos. Not saying, white people videos are terrible. They're great. It's just representation is a really big thing for me. Absolutely. And for me to know that I'm sitting comfortably in my spirit. Yeah. I need to also see representation of myself. Yeah. So I started taking classes, and from the classes I would go once a day. And when I'm doing something, I'm all in. Yeah. So I took classes once a day, and then I took classes twice a day. And it went from twice a day to now I'm no longer taking classes, but I'm doing it at home. Yeah. So now I have a comfortable space to practice as well. I can wake up, roll out of bed, and instantly get on my mat. I don't have to drive or wait for a scheduled time. Yeah. Now I can just do it for myself. And I think that like my yoga progression seems to have progressed my growth as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, well, I need this, I need guidance. Now I'm kind of getting my footing together. Now I know what I'm doing. So I feel comfortable doing it on my own or sharing it with other people. Absolutely. Yeah, now I'll just go from there. I love that.
So along with your yoga, I also appreciate, just as we have you walked us through today, some breath work. Did that kind of come in tandem with your yoga and meditation? Was that a completely different space for you? Where did that kind of begin to incorporate itself into your practice, your ritual?
So my breath work actually incorporated itself like in last.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean we're all on a journey. We all have a journey. So like my breath work actually incorporated itself in last. The breath work for me, I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, I breathe already. Like, isn't that work?
Yeah.
But, like, and I'm doing yoga and meditation, I'm already intentionally breathing. So, why? What is it, kind of? And I started doing more research on it, and I found this beautiful meditation practice where this beautiful brown woman, she was doing the breath work that I showed you guys today.
Yeah.
She was doing that breath work. It was supposed to stimulate the brain, allow its functions to spark a little bit, bring a little bit more life to you, a little bit more energy, but also calm the body at the same time. So, like, I found her, and that's when I started incorporating breath work into my practice. I want to say I did that a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and from now, like even with my yoga practice, before I do my yoga, I either dance a little bit, get myself into a meditative trance already. I then sit down, sip some tea because I've also incorporated tea into my yoga practice as well. Do my breath work, then complete my yoga practice, and then do some more breath work.
Beautiful. I found myself in a similar space like this rising. Sat down, did my breath work, had my tea, had my little meditation, did my flow, and it was some breath work. And it is such a grounding experience. So I love hearing your own share of that grounding experience and the journey that you found yourself on to get there. So returning to some of your other art forms, how did they find you and how do they continue to find you, like your crocheting and things of that nature? When did that enter your journey? Has that been something that's been with you for a while, or when did you pick that up?
So I was actually playing with yarn before I even started crocheting.
Yeah.
I would make bracelets. Like I want to say my first time physically doing something with yarn.
Yeah.
Sorry, I talk with my hands.
Oh, it's cool.
I don't want it to distract.
It's great.
The first time me physically playing with yarn, I was actually doing yarn braids on myself.
Okay.
Yeah, back in high school. And the texture of it felt nice. And I started to grow a really deep love for sweaters. So I was like, okay, I like this yarn. So I was like, I can make my own sweater.
Okay.
So yeah, it started there, but it didn't actually hit. I didn't actually start practicing the art of crocheting until I went on a TV fast. So I fasted from television for I think 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. The first week I think was the hardest because it's a part of our daily routines. We come into the house, we relax, turn the TV on, and then watch whatever, or we might play video games, go on YouTube, anything, like our phones, anything like that. So all electronics, I would walk into the house and they would instantly go off, except for my phone.
Yeah.
Right, but I also wasn't paying attention to it. So I was trying to find ways to get back to myself and get back to what my energy felt like without electronics. So I went from reading to trying to delve a little bit deeper into my art, and I picked up crocheting because where was I? I want to say I was at Michael's, and I was just walking around. I was looking for more canvases and paint. They had a sale. They sent me a coupon.
You know.
So So they had a sale. I was walking around Michael's, and there was this beautiful bundle of yarn that was just looking at me. And you know when something is just looking at you? Like, I know it's an inanimate object, but it was looking at me, it was calling me. So I picked it up, and I was like, well, if I want to pick up the yarn, I might as well get the crochet needles and like maybe a little booklet to help me out. Yeah. So I grabbed those things, and then next thing you know, like I was creating little not pot holders, but kind of like the little mats that go under your mugs, and hot pots and things like that. So that's how crocheting found me. Currently, it's not being as practiced as it was. But yeah, that's how crocheting found me.
Beautiful. So touching back on some of the darker, heavier, or more emotional time periods that you spoke on, what were some of the things that helped you kind of pull through them or transmute through them? What was kind of your solace in those spaces in those times?
So I want to say my painting. Yeah, my painting would bring me out of, not bring me out, but allow me to feel the emotion enough to transmute it into the energy I needed it to be. So I would sit there, listen to music. Willow Smith was a fave. Listen to music. Right, big fave. I would listen to music and kind of just tune out. And it was kind of like only me and the canvas existed. And I would just purge all of my emotions onto the canvas. And then once I got to a space where I was feeling nothing but my emotions, I was able to sit there and craft them into whatever I needed them to be. It's like, wow, you're such an intense emotion. Let me put you towards abundance energy, or let me put you towards self-healing and self-love. Like, you feel so emotional right now, and like, let's turn it into something positive. So I would say my painting and my art would definitely be something that I use as a conductor, an energy conductor. Absolutely. Yeah, so I can transmute the energy back into myself.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So, running back to college.
Are we running back to college?
You do? New ways of learning, new experiences. We continue to grow. So, what was that experience like for you? So, in tandem with your spiritual journey, or at least awakening and curiosity, at least with health, peaking at kind of that 14, 15 area, what was it like then going through a traditional learning system for your college education? Because that's also knowing that, you did your own herbalism journey and certificating, which is a very different experience. What was that like for you? What was that college experience like in contrast to your own personal learning and your own journeys that you've gone on after?
I'd like to say that there's definitely a comparison. Like, my college journey, going to a traditional college, I kind of just knew that's what I was supposed to do, or that's what I was told that I was supposed to do.
Absolutely.
So straight out of college, it was like, oh, not straight out of college, straight out of high school, it was like, okay, well, I'm going to college, I'm gonna like study, then I'm gonna get a job, and go from there. Which isn't necessarily what happens. Like, going to like studying traditionally, I feel like I made connections, which was very nice. Networking is beautiful in college. The only issue is I didn't 100% know what I wanted to do. Like, looking back on it, I wish I kind of taken a year off to figure out first what I wanted, if that's what I wanted to do, instead of just listening to what everybody was telling me to do and go to college. Because now, once I decided to, because it's a decision, once I decided to start critically thinking and thinking for myself, I realized that the cycle of going to college, getting a degree, earning debt, because that's what you did, earn debt to get a job to pay the debt off, was kind of like,
giving very much. I don't like this.
Right. It's giving very much. I don't support this.
Yeah.
Now there are definitely things I believe college is for. Like if you're going to be a doctor,
absolutely,
go to college.
Absolutely.
Like a teacher, go to college.
Absolutely.
Like things that are you need definite education for, go for it.
Yeah.
But the fact that I ended up running a business, I love the fact that I have my psychology degree, and I love the fact that I have my Africana studies degree as well, because learning at all of the things across the board of the diaspora was essential in assisting me with my herbalism journey.
Yeah.
You know, because learn things like that, learn what our ancestors used to heal themselves, and so on and so forth. And as well as my psychology degree, because now I can see things and see people on a different level. Like I feel like studying psychology brought myself to the forefront, so I can be like, well, not everybody experiences this, not everybody feels like this or thinks like this. There's so much more to it. Absolutely. So I'm not saying I regret my college decision, but knowing that I'm now a businesswoman and I own a business, if I had learned that earlier, that I didn't really need a degree to own my own business, I don't know if I would have taken the same journey. Maybe it might have been different. But self-studying, it's beautiful because I get to learn everything that I want to focus on. Like what I want to study, what's interesting to me, like what curriculum I want to go for, instead of somebody else writing the course out what they think I should be knowing, or what they think I should learn, where you kind of have to teach yourself anyway. You're kind of just paying them to write the curriculum for you. Whereas self-study is like, okay, well, I have more freedom. I can free flow and be as free as I want to be with my studies. If I want to learn this today, I can learn this today. If I want to learn that tomorrow, I can learn that tomorrow. Absolutely. You know, so it doesn't have to be something that's concrete or definitive. Because, you know, like I said, I'm a free-flowing person. So, like, college was a little difficult with that because it was like, I want to study this, though. And I want to study this right now. Why do I have to wait until it's okay to study that? You know? So I think those, like, I love both of them. Like the college experience for certain things, and I love self-teaching for certain things. Especially with the I get to learn as I go type of thing. So the deeper I get into my herbalism and the more interesting I get, the more interested I get into things. Like I find myself being able to be like, oh, well, let me learn more about that now. Instead of looking through a syllabus and it's just like, oh, well, we're learning that at the last semester where I want to learn it right now. You know?
I love that, and that's beautiful. I love hearing both of your experiences, and that you also don't poo-poo one or the other, and that you still find appreciation and gratitude for your college experience and how it has coincided with your herbalism and healer experience, and how they've married together beautifully, because alignment, everything happens for a reason. So
everything
it is beautiful.
It's
beautiful that you have both of those experiences under your belt, because I did the year off and decided not to go, and it was a very different journey, but one I am extremely grateful for too, but also love enjoying hearing other people's experiences of having gone and their thoughts and the feelings about having gone and seeing where they are today. So that's phenomenal, and I'm so excited for you to know that you are being able to utilize both of your studies to elevate you and to create the spaces that you desire and the offerings that you share. That's so wonderful. So, another fun question. If you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
If I had to describe myself in 3 words, I would say loving, very optimistic, and very down to earth. So I know that's not one word, that's a phrase, but down to earth.
Yes. So loving, optimistic, and down to earth. I love that. Share with us about some of your optimism. Like, how does that show up in you?
So I noticed that certain things, not just certain things, but like things that go on in everyday life will get very irritating and be such an annoyance that I have to sit here and I have to call myself back. Yeah. Like, you know what? Find the good in this situation. Yeah. Like, what is my lesson? And I think that's where my optimism always comes from. Yeah. Like, what's the lesson in this? Like, why am I going through this? What is this? And not just that. It's like, okay, well, we choose how we express our emotions. Yeah. And if I choose how I'm going to react to this situation, I'm going to choose a happy response. Yeah. Or a calm response, one that's more optimistic. Yeah. But not just that. Also, in life, with everybody's, even with myself, when people are just like, oh, well, this is so bad, this is this, I'm just like, well, what's everything on the bright side? Like, you know, what's the bright side of that? Yeah. This happened, everything has a cause and effect. So if this happened, what else? Like, what good happened? Type of thing. Or the same way you can transmute negative energy into positive energy. Like, oh, that was such a bad situation. But what did you learn? Okay. Yeah, what did you learn? So I feel like that's where most of my optimism comes in. Where I'm just like, well, look on the bright side. Or like, what did you learn from that situation? It's like, yes, it was very shitty. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He tried to bleep me the other day because I dropped the F-bomb like at the beginning of that.
It's like, yes, it was a very shitty situation. And now that we're past the situation, what did you learn from it? Yeah. Like, did you take the opportunity to learn something? Or did you just sit and shit? Like, you know?
Yeah. I love that. So piggybacking off of that, what is a lesson or experience or something that you optimized for yourself and taught you something? What is one of your favorite lessons or teachings?
Everything happens as it should. That's one of my favorite lessons, and I feel like that's an everyday lesson. Yeah. We're consistently learning that and bringing that belief into our life or understanding into our lives. Yeah. Like the story that I was telling you guys earlier about me assisting my friend in Chester when I had a graduation to get to. Yeah. Which was perfectly fine. Right? I was assisting one of my friends, and while I was I went to Chester to go assist her, and everything was just not moving as I wanted it to move. I was trying to fight time. Everything was taking too long. People were all in the way. Things just weren't happening as I wanted them to happen. It's like my plan was for them to happen. And when I finally got out of the house to go head to my sister's graduation, I got to the bridge and there was this huge accident, like back to back, like bumper to bumper traffic. I was like, oh, I gotta go around. Like, I can't do this. Like, I have somewhere to be. I go around taking the long way, which was perfectly fine because it ended up not being the long way. I ended up taking the long way. And as I drove by the bridge and drove by the highway, I seen this major accident, terrible accident, which was about 20 minutes up the road, which is what the time that I wanted to leave, which was 20 minutes before. So I realized that if I hadn't left at the time I was supposed to leave at, I would have been in the accident. Like, and this was my lesson with fighting time. Yeah. Like, me realizing that everything happens as it should, because if time wasn't not on my side,
perspective.
Right, perspective. If time was on my side, I would have been in a completely different situation. Like, I don't know if I would have been here today.
Yeah. So time was on your side.
Technically on my side. Like, the time was, if time was on my plan. There we go. If time was on my plan, the plan that I mapped out. I don't know if I would have been here today or how I would have gotten to where I would be. Because I feel like all paths lead to where you're supposed to be. But some are just a little bumpier than others. So I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. And that led me to the biggest lesson that I've ever learned. And that is, everything happens as it should. Ashe, because oh my gosh, I didn't learn about transmuting energy just yet. So I was up here to my boiling point.
Let's talk about that. How did you arrive at transmuting energy? Like, when did you learn or realize that that was even something that you could do?
Oh, wow. I realized that transmuting energy was something that I could do sometime in college. Okay. Yes. Sometime in college, I want to say my sophomore year. Me and one of my best friends had a huge fight over like lack of communication. Huge fight. And during our argument, like she had burst into my dorm room, and which was fine because sometimes you need like a jolt. So she had burst into my dorm room, was like yelling at me, and I sat there, and as much as I wanted to yell back, I decided not to. And I was just like, you know what? I want to listen to what you have to say, and somehow change all of this boiling energy that's in my gut into not so boiling energy. Yeah. So I sat there, breathed a little bit, took in all of the energy that she was giving to me, transmuted that, like calmed that down. Kept doing it until like she was kind of just done expressing what she had to express. Yeah. And we were both just sitting there quietly, and I was like, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. And that was the first time I realized that not only do we choose our reactions to situations, but we can pull the energy in and transmute it into something better, into something kind, into something wise. Yeah. Because that could have been the end of our friendship. Yeah. Right then and there. But me realizing, or not even realizing at the moment, because spirit was giving me a download, was just like, shut up. Just to be quiet, it's cool, let her talk. Like, what I need you to do is just calm yourself down first, and then you can answer. So that was my lesson in, like, my first time transmuting energy, and the first time that I realized that I could in the first place.
That's beautiful. I love that. And it also feels like a lesson in compassion and understanding, because it took you being compassionate and open to understanding to even allow that to take place.
It's like, I love you so much. I don't want to
consideration.
Right. Like, I know, I hurt your feelings. You hurt my feelings. Like, I love you so much to be quiet. I love you so much that I'm gonna be quiet right now. Yeah. And that was a better way. Yeah, there's a better way. Like, I love you so much, I'm gonna just stop being mad, because obviously screaming isn't working. So that was also a really great lesson in compassion, because I was somebody who would always kind of like allow my emotions to build up, and then I would just spew them on people. Yeah. Because I wasn't comfortable being able to express them. Yeah. So me realizing that I don't have to even feel or allow that energy to resonate within me or flow within me. Yeah. I was just like, yeah, you know what? It's okay. Like, I found compassion for myself and for my loved ones in that moment too. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
No, absolutely. That's what we're here for. And I love that. So through transmuting, also arriving at compassion and consideration and understanding, that is so beautiful, and that's what we're here for, and what we want to exude more of and experience more of. So I love that you've been able to arrive there and now have multiple means and ways of transmuting and showing up for yourself and healing and releasing, because it's so crucial. We walk around for so much of our life with all these different things pent up and cramped up, and when we don't realize we gotta let all that out, or these angry, stiff, stagnant bodies. And so it's so filling to hear you share about your experience with opening that, releasing that, pouring out, and then being able to be a container to hold space for someone else and transmute that, and facilitate wellness in that way, because I'm sure that was something for her as well, for you to completely approach it from a different way. And being present for your own evolution. Like she got to experience a blessing from that as well. So I love that, and that is beautiful. And thank you for showing up.
Of course. Gratitude for the question. because it's like most of the time we walk around so full, and it's not even a good full. It's like we're full of fear, we're full of emotions that we don't quite understand, so we keep like pushing them down. We're full of shame, embarrassment, and like people walk around just like this, like so hunched or so closed off that they need some kind of release. Yeah. Especially if you're not taught how to express your emotions properly. Absolutely. Right. And again, this is what I definitely I'll thank and am grateful for my psychology degree for. Yeah. Because during that time I was like, again, we all have different ways of thinking, expressing, feeling. Yeah. And I was like, me yelling at her isn't going to make the situation better. Yeah. It's not going to make anything better. Yeah. And that we're just going to have a screaming match in the middle of my dorm room. Yeah. So yeah, like I definitely felt the release and felt myself be at ease in the moment, because like I could stand there presently and not put myself in a situation where I'm being overly emotional. Yeah. And not understanding somebody else's emotions or allowing my emotions to control me. Yeah. When that's not what it is. Like we control our emotion. So in that moment, like I not only learned how to transmute energy and be compassionate, but I also learned that you're the controller. Like just because you're sad or mad or angry doesn't mean that's something that you have to express in such a boisterous, is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah, boisterous way. Like you don't have to like this is it doesn't have to be so volatile. Right. It doesn't have to be so volatile. Yeah. It doesn't have like you don't have to vomit on me with your emotions. Like, learn to feel them. Is this a great time to like express them? Should I be expressing them in this way that I wanted to express them? So it's also some food for thought with that too. Absolutely. I actually just had an experience with that where I was proud of myself. I paused and waited and didn't share in the moment. So I was just like, I'm already exhausted. I'm already tired. These things that I may be feeling may not even be authentic and honest to what I'm actually even feeling. They may be being exacerbated by my current state of my body's being. My body is tired. My body is hungry. My body is fatigued. And so that is going to encourage and inspire some other kind of more wayward communications to be had. And so yeah, it's such a tool to be able to, like you just mentioned, decide, is now even the time for me to share this, or is it for another time? Like I think that is such a crucial thing to be able to experience and witness, and then show up for yourself and for others, because it can save not only you, but like in your situation, a friend who may not even know that that's what they have been saved from, and that a whole experience has been circumvented and shifted. And that is so beautiful. And so I've said beautiful 50 million times here, but that's perfect. Like but it is that it is so beautiful, and it shows in you, it shows in how you show up, and just in greeting you, like me watching you for several months and just knowing that, like, wow, like I see this energy from this person, and now to hear sitting with you and getting to actually in person feel that energy, and it is the same. So I feel all your transmutation and the growth and the steps that you've taken. Like I feel it and give thanks for it, honor it, because it's beautiful. I'm grateful for like you being able to feel it. I feel like I do so much work for myself. Yeah. And like other people as well, but mainly my spiritual work is for myself. Yeah. And hearing people say, oh, like it feels, your energy just feels so nice, or like it's very attracting. Like you make me feel comfortable sharing what's really going on, so you can really help me. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's like, I love that. Like, I love that for you, and I love that for me, especially in my line of work.
Yeah.
Like, I want people to feel comfortable and capable of coming and like expressing what's really going on, so that I can assist them with that. Like, I try, like, in the beginning, everything was a little, a little like iffy.
Yeah.
People were like, I don't know if I want to share. Like, they'll share and I'll give them advice, but like the advice could be a little personal, and they get standoffish. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, that's my fault, because I haven't worked on myself enough yet for you to be comfortable in the space, because maybe there's something I'm not comfortable with what I'm doing or saying. Yeah. So working that way.
And I think that's beautiful. And I think hearing you say that, I think that's probably the best way that one could go about doing that, because if you've gotten you great, 9 times out of 10, everything else you're emitting into the environment, into the atmosphere, through your aura, through your spirit, is that healed energy, is that kind energy, is that gentle, caring energy. So yeah, when we, the people, get to experience Mia, we're experiencing all of that inner work you've done, all of that healing you've done, all that shadow work that you've done.
Inside joke.
Inside joke. Y'all get to see.
We'll drop it here.
We'll drop it here. Yes. You emanate all that. And so, yes, we get greeted with the healed Mia. We get greeted with her through your smile, through your speech, and just through how you show up and through your offerings. And so I give thanks for you, and I honor you for doing that and for taking the time to do that, because I think even me just realizing this as I've sat here and listened to you is so often we as people focus so much on, I want to help the masses and help the others and do for others, that we don't start with self. And I've been guilty of this, not starting with self, but wanting to do and achieve so many of these things to help other people. But it's like, how are you giving from an empty cup? How can this vessel give when the vessel isn't healed itself? So how do you have the broken toe or the broken foot, and you're trying to perform surgery on somebody else's and help them walk, and you can't walk? Exactly. You can't stand yourself. So I love that, and I love hearing about how you've gone ahead and gone in first and done the inner work, and that there is time, kind of how you mentioned, like, everything is happening in time as it should, and not rushing it, that you've taken the time to heal and to see and realize that you still have all the time and space and opportunity to do your work.
To do my work and continue healing.
Yeah, so I love that, and how you are a beacon of light for that. I think that is so beautiful. And you've talked for quite a bit of time.
We did. But it's okay. Wait, I just want to say one more time.
Yeah.
Well, one more thing. So, like, a really good analogy that I like to think of when going into a space, knowing that I'm going to be helping people, when I know I'm going into a space to assist with people, I like to think, if I'm thirsty, like if I'm a cup of water and I'm thirsty, how am I gonna, if I give you the rest of the water that I have, I'm gonna be dehydrated. And I can't, like, and if I'm dehydrated, I can't give you any more water. Which means I now have no water for myself. So if my thirst isn't quenched, your thirst won't be quenched.
Absolutely. I love that. So she just skipped ahead of the last question. There it was. The last question was, do you have a piece of advice or an offering to the people that they may be able to go home with? And she has given us that already.
Do not dehydrate yourself for other people. Like, thirst first.
Hydrate.
Thirst first. And then share. Like, it's easier to share from an overpoured cup, or like an overflowing cup, than it is to share depth.
And there you have it, family. This has been Mia of Honey Dove Herbals LLC. Phenomenal woman, phenomenal being, phenomenal story, rich gems in this episode. I hope you were mining. I hope you were here with us. I hope you got all of that.
Yes, I like that. I hope you were mining. Mine the gems.
Yes.
They're precious.
Yes. I hope you were mining. I hope you were being mindful. Remember to breathe during this episode. There was so much shared. Thank you so much, Mia, for coming and sharing with us, sharing with the family, being present in the house.
Me. Like, gratitude to you, like, gratitude to y'all. Like, thank you so much just for having me.
Yes, and we will have her again. You guys will see her again. We look forward to you seeing all of our behind the scenes we've done with this phenomenal
This
being.
is gonna be exciting.
She has
I'm
shared,
so excited.
Yes, she has shared so much with us. And before we go, do you want to talk a little bit about what they will see? You want to talk to us a little bit about the tea ritual that you did for us and what it was, so when they see it in your B-roll, they know what they're witnessing.
Oh yeah. So what I did was I like to take my time when it comes to making my teas, and that's not just packaging them and like weighing them and things along those lines, but also creating them too. So what I did for them was I garnished the table, got my pot out, put my flower petals, my flower petals into my pot, slow poured some nice hot water over them, let it steep for about 20 minutes, threw some lime in there, and served it with nothing but love and grace.
Beautiful. And we gave thanks. It was such a beautiful experience. It was sweet to the tongue, nourishing to the soul. It was so refreshing. You can find all of her offerings on her website at
honeydoveherbals.com.
You know, and you can find her on social media as such. We will have all of her socials and handles on the screen and down below in the description box. Thank you so much, family, for showing up and chatting with us today, being part of the experience. As always, I'm Yolanda Marie, or Yani for short, for House of Fluid Reflection. If it so speaks to you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Join the family, join the discussions, join the peace and evolution that we are here for. Because we are open, we are welcome, and we're ready. So with that being said, peace, love,
peace,
and all that good stuff.
And all that good stuff.
We're out.